So we're going to go ahead and get this going. I do want to, all right, I did start it. So, when I met with Sister Rita and her family, it was showing me again, unity. For her family, and as I was talking to Pastor George, I was asking him some questions. I said, well, where does everybody come from? Is everybody coming from Mississippi? He said, no. They're coming from Racine, Wisconsin, North Dakota, California, wow. South Carolina, wow. Mississippi, and probably some other places that I missed out. Kansas. So all these, and then here's the thing. As Sister Rita had said, they all came to Kentucky just unifying together as a body. I talked to my mom yesterday. They had their family reunion yesterday. Didn't quite turn out the same. Most of my family is right there in the city of Philadelphia. The place where they were having the reunion was in South Philadelphia. And you can get in most places in Philadelphia in pretty good time, especially if you're from there, you know how to get around the city. Even if there's a traffic jam, you can get around the city. So they had these 3 areas set up in the park. They didn't have enough people to fill those 3 areas. They had to condense it down. The turnout was not good. Unity. Where's the unity? And I thought about it after I talked to her, and I said, wow, I'm looking at a family that traveled thousands of miles for some coming out of California. I mean, just traveled just to come together to be united for a weekend to hang out. They do this every other year. And I was like, wow, that is just exciting that they come together. And then I'm going to tell you, the way they had it set up last night, I mean, it was just awesome. The way that you just sat there and watched these families interact with each other. And I was like, wow, unity, unity, unity. Then I thought, well, my family, it's kind of like what goes on in churches. Can't all come together. Although we are locally, right here in Radcliffe, just about everywhere you go, there's a church.
You say that. Say it, come on.
And the driving distance is not that far. I can go around the corner here. I can go all over here. But we don't come together.
Come on now. That's right. That's right.
But we look at a family that maybe all of them don't understand what we understand about the principles of God. And I can see that. Okay, they didn't come together. Maybe they had some other things that they wanted to do. But when God is not in the midst of all of them, because He is with some, but not all, you have those things like that. Everything else will come up and cloud and get you from coming together in one body and unifying. But when we have it in this area, where you have a church on every corner and maybe 2 and 3 on one street, we need to do a better job of coming together as one body. You know, it's not about trying to elevate one ministry over another ministry. It's about us trying to come together as one, as the Word says that we're supposed to be one. See, I can't take the church down here and say I don't have any use for it. Because see, there's some gifts and things that they have. There's a certain mission that God has called them to do. That mission may not be the same mission that we have in this house. But if we all come together collectively, when we come together as one body, see, the reason that we have the things that's going on in our community today is because the churches won't even come together.
That's right.
I was talking to, and again, I was sitting at the table with Pastor George last night, so we talking back and forth. And I said, I remember, maybe not so much in my life, but I knew about, and it wasn't because it wasn't happening, it was just that I wasn't part of it. But I remember that church was a big part of the community. Church was a big part of the community. Church, that's where you found out all the different things that was going on in the community. That's where you came together and you began to pray against those things that was trying to harm your community.
Yeah, that's right.
But today,
Come on.
when I arrived in Radcliffe, Kentucky 16 years ago, this was a dry county.
So was.
Speak it, preach it.
I mean, it was as dry
Yeah.
as you can get.
Amen.
You couldn't buy a beer nowhere
Nowhere.
in Hardin County.
That's right.
You couldn't get anything, but you drive around today.
Come on now.
Oh,
You look all up and down 31W. Liquor stores popped up all over the place.
Yeah.
my.
Wow.
Ooh,
Because we had no unity.
that's right.
Because with as many churches that we have in this area, and if you would think about the number of people that probably attend each one of these churches, because it's not I think Hardin County, maybe 50,000 people in the whole county, and your biggest areas of population is probably E-Town, Radcliffe, some of these areas here where you have the military base and stuff like that. A lot of retirees and things that stayed in the area, such as myself. And you have all these people, but we don't, and you got all these churches, so let's just say you had 50 people in every church. I don't know how many total churches are, but there's a lot.
Yes, there is.
When you look at when they have elections, and you look at some of the races, some of them, I mean, it's just a couple thousand votes and you win. You win a seat.
Right.
Just a couple thousand votes. So if you got all these churches, and you got all these maybe 50 or more people per church, if they all came out and voted, if they just came out and voted,
Christian voice.
and if they came out and voted when that thing was up on the up for a vote,
Yeah.
then maybe this county would probably still be dry.
Amen.
That's right.
But see, here's the problem. Some of those same ones that sit in the church. See, when you go into the little booth, nobody don't know what you're doing.
That's right.
That's right.
And see, part of it is we got some of the same ones in church. They wanted to vote yes for that. Well, I'm tired of driving all the way over to outside of Vine Grove to get me a beer. I can bring it right here. And see, they try to sell it off with, oh, well, it's going to bring revenue to the city. Well, then that's revenue that I think we can probably do without. I'm sure there's other ways that we can bring revenue to this city without harming the people that are in the city.
Amen. Amen.
Christ city.
And I'm not saying this from somebody that has never drank before, because if you know my history, I used to drink. I know of times that I used to drive when I shouldn't have drove. I know of times that I drove and I don't even remember driving. So when we open up the doors for all these things to start happening in our city, you don't think that's going on now? I don't know when they're going to start compiling some of the statistics from DUIs and things like that now since we went wet. But I would like to see it. I would like to see what impact that it had on our city with this change. Because they are all over the place now. I mean, it was, you go in some areas, I mean, you go down Wilson Road, that little area right there by 1500, I mean, it's like one here, one there, like, it's like, really? But we got to do as a church, we have to become unified.
Yeah.
We have to come together. And we have to do some things as a body. You know, there was a few years ago, they even had where they were trying to bring the Bible back into the public school system in Kentucky. There was a bill. I can't remember the bill number right off the top of my head. But there was a bill they had. And I actually went up to the state capitol and I was there only because I was there because my daughter was on a school trip and I happened to strike up a conversation with the chaplain for the state. And we're just talking as we're going through the tour, and we're just going through, and I'm more interested, not about the tour, but I'm asking about how these bills work and how this stuff works. He said, do you know that one letter can change the way the vote happens?
Wow.
He said, one letter can, he said, when they get a letter in, one letter can actually make a change. But so many times we as the body, we get so wrapped up in what's going on in these four walls, we don't get involved in that stuff. And then we wonder why these things are happening. You look on my phone, and I write them often,